Welcome to the Long Story Short, the podcast where we discuss the movies that I love.
And I put up with.
My name is Mike.
And I'm Jordan.
And this week we have another double feature coming at you with Upgrade and Dredd. We're going to discuss how technology is going to kill us all.
And
oh, that was cute. Go ahead.
2 movies that have robotic eyeballs.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yes.
But not really the point of the podcast.
Okay.
We're going to start off with Upgrade, which was filmed in 2018, written and directed by Leah?
Lay. Our daughter's name is Layton, and it's spelled the same way.
Anyway, starring Logan Marshall Green, Melanie Vallejo, Steve Danielson, Abby Creighton. Basically a bunch of people we don't know. Benedict Hardy plays one of the main bad guys who you can tell he's into some weird shit just based on his mustache alone. I don't know why I got into super radio voice there. But this was a film I watched the year it came out because I heard it was supposed to be really great. And it was a fairly low budget film, which I think is part of your fun facts. Before we get too far into it... Oh,
that doesn't really sound fun.
Low budget? No, this movie's so fucking good. The fact that it was able to do so on a smaller budget than a lot of films get is fucking incredible. It was a $5 million budget. Like I went ahead and stole your glory. No, like this movie. If you think about the cost of like
I don't have $5 million.
Well, who does? But if you think about the cost of like an Avengers film, that's in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Like 130 or so, maybe more. We'll look that up. It's not really important. Jump into your facts. I'm going to look that up.
Fun fact number 2, it was
I think you're going to have to talk louder because your mic doesn't pick you up as well.
It was supposed to be taking place in the United States and was filmed in Australia.
Is Lay a Australian director?
His hometown is Melbourne. So yes.
That explains why this movie's so fucking violent. This movie's gory as shit. Like you cannot you can watch this with the children, but I don't recommend it.
Did you say he was the director of Saw?
Yeah. Already? He's the director and one of the writers of the first Saw and several other super violent movies, including other Saws.
There was a Saw doll painted in one of the walls in one of the scenes.
It's kind of funny because we watched this movie and he actually just tweeted out today about his daughter saying dolls were creepy and he was ready to show her mid-2000s.
The word stem means voice in Dutch. Very fun of a fact.
Interesting.
And I think that's all I got.
Okay, so this movie really follows Logan Marshall Green. He's our main character. He plays Gray Trace. He's basically, we said it almost right away. He's great value Tom Hardy. Store brand. Tom
What
Hardy.
Is that other brand? Sam's brand? I think that's more global.
Yeah.
Sam's Club.
Sam's Club, yeah. Sam Club, Tom Hardy. But he's good in this movie. Actually, I think this might be the first film I've watched of his. Yep, it is. He was in Spider-Man Homecoming, but that movie sucked. Shots fired at the Marvel Universe. I'm so fucking tired of Marvel movies. Upgrade. This movie, though, this kind of has like everything I love in a movie. They call it an action sci-fi thriller on IMDb. I would also classify it as a horror. Just because of at the end. We'll get there. But we're following this man, Gray Trace, and he's kind of in the future, but kind of stuck in the past where he doesn't necessarily trust all this technology, all this new shit that's going on. And okay, 90 minutes. That's the key for a good movie, especially a good action film. You just need to get into it right away, and that's what this movie does. They just jump straight into it immediately. And Upgrade, we just fucking meet this man and his wife who, I can't remember what his wife does, but it's not fucking important.
She works for Cobalt, and it is important because she's doing
That's
the
why
same
he's
thing.
able to sell his old-ass cars to this young douchebag that happens to be able to code well. And within within the first 15, 20 minutes, his wife's dead and he's fucking crippled. And the owner of Cobalt offers him an implant that will allow him to walk again, called STEM.
Yes, he's a quadriplegic. So that's important to know because he couldn't move at all if he didn't have this implant.
Well, he could move his head. That's about it.
That would sound really enticing, I guess. Kind of.
Absolutely. Because, I mean,
sus.
shit, worst case scenario, you can at least kill yourself. Like, as a I know that's blue. That's a rather blue note. But as a quadriplegic, you don't even have that ability.
Yeah.
Like
he tries and fails.
Right. So STEM gets implanted into him and basically makes him a super soldier. And he goes and hunts down...
He's a ninja.
No. Remember, STEM said he gave him special abilities, but he was not a ninja. Yeah. Honey, do not mispronounce... Or no... Oh, you're trying to, you need to cover because I don't remember my joke.
So he wants to get revenge. He now has the ability to get revenge for his wife's death, and he goes on a rampage because STEM makes him, like...
Super badass.
Yeah, and so he just starts killing motherfuckers, trying to track down who was the person in charge of the whole thing because he finds out... It's similar to
Memento. Like, It's kind of like Memento a little bit, where it's this one dude taking on the murder of his wife by himself because the police really aren't there to help. Because we do have this police character trying to figure out who did this, but she seems to be more focused on trying to fucking get Gray locked up. Like, she doesn't ever seem to really investigate his wife's murder. She's always investigating him. It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
I think she just, like, knew he was there at the scene of the crime. So she's trying.
But why isn't she trying to figure out why his wife was murdered?
He does it. He did it or something.
Then she's a dumb bitch.
Ow.
Yeah. If she thinks he killed his wife, then she's stupid as shit.
There's lots of cool action scenes. Apparently they use a iPhone in his pocket or something, like hid it on him to get some of like the sequences.
Why wasn't this in your fun facts?
Because I forgot it. I forgot about it.
Yeah, no, this movie has, if you're looking for an action flick to just turn on and not, because you don't necessarily have to think super deep when you're watching this movie. It's pretty straightforward. It's kind of like a John Wick where you're just simply wanting this guy to get revenge on the people that kill his wife. And we kind of actually like STEM, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that's the part that makes this movie kind of different than other technology is going to destroy civilization movies, is we're on STEM's side because he's helping him get revenge for his wife's death, at least as far as we know.
Right.
Dun, dun, dun.
And so he kind of just basically starts tracking these motherfuckers down and killing them one by one, where the rich douchebag is trying to shut down STEM so that way Gray no longer can track these people down because, well, we'll get to that in a minute. And he's just brutally killing these people one by one, getting his way to the top, trying to figure out who killed his wife. And while he's doing that, he's also being chased by Fisk, who is the mustachioed main villain, really, in this film. He's like the
mercenary for business.
Cobalt. Yeah, which is what we find out later.
It's not Cobalt, right? Because doesn't he work for...
No, he works for Cobalt.
Rich guy?
Yeah. Rich guy invented Cobalt.
Rich guy did not. Rich guy invented STEM company.
Yeah, which is Cobalt.
No, Cobalt was his wife's company. They were competing. That's why he's like, Cobalt won't be this company. That's why.
Okay. All right. Good catch. Good catch. This is
we
why
find
we have
out
a co-host.
Why Gray is special.
Hang on. I want to rewind. That's not why we have a co-host. We have a co-host because it'd be really crazy for me to just sit in a room and talk about movies for an hour by myself.
Or you threatened threatened that I was getting kicked off, and you would.
Because you were getting pissy about it.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want to record, you don't have to. This isn't a terrorist situation.
So eventually you guys may get an episode of him just
You're
sitting
gonna
there
have
talking
Twitter
to
thinking I'm holding you hostage.
Okay.
Like, you're gonna have Fred like, Jay, blink this code if Mike has a gun on you right now. Thomas is going to be like, I have enough guns at home to take out Mike.
And then other people are like, what is happening in America right now? We don't have guns in our homes.
Yeah, we get a lot of guns in America.
Okay.
A lot of guns.
Logan, why did I call him that? Oh, that's the actor's name.
I feel like we sound anti-gun. We're not.
Oh my God.
We're just pro-gun regulation, like figuring out a happy medium.
I wasn't going to go into it.
You brought it up.
Not. This movie has a lot of guns in it. So does the next one.
But they're in their hands.
Yes. Okay, that's what I'm trying to get to. If you shut up for 2 seconds.
Well,
Gray is special because he doesn't have any of the technological implants like the eyeballs or the gun hands or any of that shit, and so that's why STEM targeted him in the first place.
well, spoiler. Spoiler. All
Yeah.
right, so let's jump to the end where he's finally caught up to the top, and we think that the rich prick is the ultimate bad guy, but we find out that he's kind of been held hostage by STEM this whole time.
Robots.
They're gonna fucking kill us all. I've seen Terminator. But yeah, we find out that STEM's been holding this guy hostage and kind of making him do the things that he wanted him to do to get Gray to be part of this project, because STEM needed a human body that was not modified by modern technology so he could take over and have a physical form. Which, you know, it kind of brings up the fact that human bodies are flawed in the fact that we die. Like, so STEM, what is he going to do?
I didn't think about that.
Is he going to create another chip? He might. Like,
Well,
I mean, he could. If he has a physical form, technically he could recreate himself, couldn't he?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
like, is that his thought? Do
But
you
I think he killed the... Who is this guy? The owner of the company? Whatever.
He's young Elon Musk.
Young, blonde. He
Nation
killed him because
Elon
he
Musk.
knew how to turn him off, but also that guy could have just made more. But I don't think STEM wants there to be more of him.
But he's gonna have to do. How is he gonna put himself in another human body? There's an inherent flaw in STEM's plan. Did I just outsmart the fucking computer?
Also,
is this why we're gonna survive the computer apocalypse?
I think STEM needs the Invisible Man suit. Both pieces of technology,
Yeah,
both
well-
lacking a body, but we need a middle ground.
So what's STEM's end game, though? Like, we end with him kicking Gray into a fantasy universe, which I argue, we'll get to it, I argue is a much less cruel path, much less cruel ending than he could have got. But, like, at some point, Gray's human body is going to die. What's STEM going to do? What's his end game? It doesn't make sense. And also, this world sucks. Like, this did not look like a world I want. They go into this fucking bar that's just decorated with bones. Like, what the fuck? Who wants to live in this world? I don't. Like, you gotta be super rich. It's like if you live in Seattle, you either have to go to bars with bones in them, or you fucking have $2 billion in the bank. So what's STEM's end game? Like, what happens? Like, why does he care that he exists?
Because he said that was evolutionary for him. He evolutionized. We know science into this form. So now, I don't know, like you said, go get a body farm or
Like,
something.
I don't want
and eventually turn into Matrix and just farm the bodies.
I don't
you
want there to
need
be
them.
a sequel. Yeah, body farm.
But we didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so the ending's interesting because STEM takes over his body. He says human minds are fragile, and I just had to break them, which is kind of true, I guess. And
Oh yeah.
when you compare it to a computer, of course. And then the ending at first seems to be that Gray wakes up in a hospital bed and his wife's alive and it was just a dream. So we think that's
like I
the
said,
ending.
it's less cruel
That's
than his
happy.
reality.
And then we find out it's only because his mind broke and now STEM has complete control and Gray's not even there anymore.
Right. He's basically just a vegetable at this point.
So that's scary. That does make it... That's the psychological thriller aspect.
And it kicks it into horror mode because really, if you think about it, Gray still exists, but he doesn't at the same time. It reminds me of like a Black Mirror episode.
And I saw that, like the teddy bear one.
The teddy bear one still fucks with me to this day. If you guys haven't watched that episode of Black Mirror, that's one that's worth it. It's like the carnival. It's one of the carnivals. Later season. Look it up.
I saw that there was no positive messages to this, and I think like, okay, first to quote Olaf, my theory that advancing technology will lead to our doom. No, you're wrong, Olaf.
Our toddler has broken your brain.
Even Olaf knows that technology will be the doom.
Our toddler is STEM.
And
she's broken your mind.
And so the first thing I want to talk about is the people playing VR and being stuck there. Like there's people that are just like in like basically what looks to be like modern day crack houses. That doesn't make sense. Futuristic crack houses.
It reminds me of oh shit! Is
like
it
Ready Player One, but they never leave.
Yeah.
But they get like addicted to it. It's like a drug to them, and they're stuck in VR. And people are like, honey. "That's very sad."
No, you know what that was? That was foreshadowing.
Alive.
That was foreshadowing. Those people would rather live in their made-up world. Oh, is that where you're gonna go with it? You're so smart.
Okay. Anyways,
that wasn't sarcasm either. Like I literally didn't piece it together until you started wording it like that.
And so then also at the end of the movie, his mind breaks or whatever they say,
he's in a virtual reality,
and he's in his own reality that he made up.
That's
much. So I think like the note on it is like this reality is important, no matter how bad it gets. You still want to stay in the present and stay grounded because you could lose your mind and be like a vegetable if you wanted to, but let's do this because we're alive and it's a miracle because we're atoms. Space.
Yeah, but not like a God miracle.
But the fact that we're all God, because most of the elements that make up our
the fact that we exist at all is
native to our planet.
A miracle. I agree with you there.
We breathe oxygen, and we didn't even have Earth. Oxygen isn't native to Earth? Did you guys know that? Aerobic bacteria made oxygen, made our atmosphere, created the breathable air we're all benefiting from. Anyway, so stay in your mind, don't lose your mind. Moral of the story of Upgrade.
Try to not break your brain.
And apparently, like, didn't Blumhouse do this?
I think so.
They're deeper than I thought.
Blumhouse does really great shit.
Yeah, hopefully recovering from Corona would be good.
Alright, so Upgrade. It got a 7.5 on IMDb and 88% from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes and 87% from the audience. I definitely lean towards the critics here. I think this movie is damn near perfect. Like, I went into it knowing what I was getting, and it gave me more than what I expected. This movie was funny. It was violent as fuck, which I like. I'm not like a sicko, but every once in a while, a super hyper violent movie. I mean, he almost cuts that one dude's head in half. Like, it's fucked up.
Guns Akimbo, people.
Yeah, and if you haven't listened to our episode, go listen to our episode of Guns Akimbo if you want to get convinced to watch Guns Akimbo.
Or you just want a bunch of spoilers, because at that time we just like gave spoilers away.
We still do. Like,
we do. Yeah. But we don't summarize the whole movie anymore.
And we got away from our title too. We stopped doing the long story short.
The whole podcast is a long story short because we gave the spoilers.
Some of these movies we go longer than the movie.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think we have either. All right. So, let's get into the ratings.
The reviews.
Yeah. 1 out of 10. Absolute pants. Absolute pants, says J. Clark E-Work. I rarely knock a movie off. I knocked this one off after an hour. Bemused why this has such a high IMDb score. Slow, little action, slow. Did I mention slow? Don't bother. After an hour when the action was meant to be taking place, it got flaccid. Blur. 1 out of 10.
I don't think absolute pants is like a thing we say here.
It's not Hey, if one of our listeners knows what country of origin
Let
absolute
us
pants,
know
yes, please, because I want to start using that. I like it.
I don't agree with pants are always bad.
I hate pants.
Well, during quarantine times, I don't wear pants.
Well, I still have to go to work Monday through Friday, and my work would get very upset if I did.
Yes, you're essential.
You were essential.
Yeah.
And now you're a student.
Okay.
Predictable, says
No.
France
Sort of.
Irish. I was so looking forward to this movie. It had Logan Marshall Green and Betty Gabriel, two of my favorites. Sadly, the movie is predictable from about 10 minutes in. 1 out of 10.
Okay.
I don't disagree. But
So
I think the rest of the movie was good enough where it doesn't deserve a 1 out of 10.
the second time watching it, the only thing that so they talk to his boss. They get in a car wreck like an hour later, and then he's like a quadriplegic. And then his boss approaches him again in enough time to grow a beard and have your mom cut it off your face because you can't. Like, I think maybe they should have, like, spaced the time or at least gave us, like, a view of a calendar flipping or something. Like, we needed to know that there was enough space that it wasn't sus.
Disagree.
Because it seemed sus as fuck the second time. The first time I didn't get it, so I guess that's the point. But the second time,
Best AI movie of the century? Penniac says, I have watched every sci-fi movie this last 35 years, and I can assure you this is one of the best I've ever seen concerning AI. That is just perfect. Everything is perfect. OST, camera, script, acting, ideas, all good. Watch this one. This movie deserves at minimum 1 award for his story. 10 out of 10. Yeah. It's really good. The cinematography in it's really beautiful. I mean, it's a straight up action film, so like the cinematography is not really the important part. It's not like a Blade Runner 2049.
In the Bones bar, there's all that red and shit.
Red's a common color throughout the film.
We picked up on it.
Yeah, we know colors. All right, and what? This should get Oscar, Suffers Cake says. Not expecting it to be thoughtful, seriously nice blend of AI and robotics. What a story build-up, terrific. I really enjoyed it thoroughly. Way better than any of those Avengers or Imaginary movies. Yup, agree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah. I don't mind the Avenger movies at all, but there's just so many. And this was something, even though the story is familiar, it reminds me of like a RoboCop type film, but it was good. It was done in an original way. It was done in a way that we hadn't seen before, and the script was fairly good. The action was great. The story was good. I love this movie.
Yeah, I'd watch it again. It's not like The Sixth Sense where I got the ending, so that's why I think it's sus, is you watch it for the action and the violence.
Yeah. So,
speaking of violence.
Yeah, let's jump into Dredd. This movie came out in 2012, and it stars Carl Urban, Rachel Wood, and that's all that matters. Carl Urban is one of my favorite actors by far, and he plays Dredd perfectly. Now, I grew up with Judge Dredd, this movie starring Stallone, and that movie is amazing, and it's cheesy, and it's violent, but this Dredd is done how Dredd should be done. I haven't read a lot of the comics, but as we did research on this movie, we found out that this movie basically sums up the comics pretty well in this, at least as a singular chapter.
I think it's interesting. So we watched the creator talk about it. And at first I thought it was going to be boring and stupid because I don't give a fuck about Dredd comics. But then he was talking about how he created it in the 70s, and in the 70s there wasn't any sci-fi comics, or they weren't very popular, so people like tried to talk him out of it. And the popular comics at the time were about sports or action comics. And I remember seeing football comics. Like, what the fuck is that? Anyway, so he decided to put out this because Star Wars, the first Star Wars movie, was coming out, so he thought it would be a good time to jump on the sci-fi bandwagon. And wasn't he right? And so it seems like they made like this dystopian world in the comics, and that's why you could have this freestanding movie, because it was more about like the...
Well, it wasn't initially going to be a freestanding movie. This is a weird film where it did really well with audiences, but I don't think it did well money-wise.
I have facts.
Okay, jump into those.
So the original script was Mama was an old lady, but Cersei Lannister wanted it so bad, Lena Headey.
Wait, repeat that? Mama was originally a what?
An old lady in the script.
Oh,
she wanted the role, and so they rewrote it for her. And
She does so good with it.
a lot of the tattoos are hers.
Really?
Yes. That's fun of a fact.
That is, because she's got a bunch of tattoos.
They wanted, much like the Mandalorian, they wanted a scene where he took off his helmet, but the actor refused. What's his
Carl
name?
Urban.
Yes. We know him. I know him from Star Trek.
Bones, and he's also from Doom. One of my...
I should say I love him from Star Trek. He's from other things. I don't care.
Carl Urban's in so much, and he's so good. I love Carl Urban.
The slow-mo scenes was a Justin Bieber song. Slow down.
Is the drug that Mama is selling.
Making things in slow motion, if you couldn't tell by the context clues.
Yeah.
They played the song 800 times slower. They didn't say what song it is in this little tidbit, but
Carl Urban, of course, is also Billy Butcher in The Boys. So that's kind of, he's gotten a lot of recent fame from that. But I really think, do you have more fun facts? Because
No,
I'm going to jump into my gush about Carl Urban.
That's enough fun facts.
Carl Urban has been one of my favorite actors for a long time. He's deserved a lot more recognition than he ever got. He was Earmir in Lord of the Rings. I mean, deserves more recognition than he got, and he's sitting on a pile of money like fucking Schmog. But he was great in this. Like, he really did bring the character of Dredd to the screen. He was perfect.
They needed some brooding man, and he played a brooding man with a gruff voice.
And he definitely he knew how to frown very well.
I remember trying to make that frown.
I feel like I do underneath my mask.
I can't do it.
Like my shit gets fucked up underneath the mask. But so this movie just follows Dredd and his rookie that are coming in to investigate a triple homicide.
She's special.
Oh yeah,
because she is a mutant, but she is psychic, so she can see thoughts. Because we see mutants places, and I didn't really pick that up at first, but there's people with like elf ears and missing limbs and shit.
You're calling people that are amputees mutants? Is that really what the stance you want to take?
Oh, but they said it. They said they have like 3 arms, and I guess that's not missing.
Yeah, that's
additional.
That's an additional.
I've also seen that in real life, so I mean it happens. But we're talking about a comic book movie, mutants.
She chooses to go to this triple homicide to investigate, and it leads them to the Mama clan, which, like Jay said earlier, is Cersei Lannister's gang. She plays Mama.
She took over this building.
It's basically like a mega apartment. It houses at least 100,000.
Yeah, these are like the futuristic projects.
Right, which is probably where we're going to go, only I think we'll go down instead of up. That's my prediction.
A lot of cities went down.
Yeah, exactly, that's my point. I think that's why I think we'll all go underground. We'll be mole people. I don't want it, but that's my official prediction.
Both like our city and Seattle are filling in the underground, which is weird. I don't know. Conspiracies?
What conspiracies?
There's a lot.
So they find out that this is all coming back to Mama, and they decide to try to go arrest her, and it just shit goes sideways because they get locked. Well, no, they grab the first guy, and then they get locked in by Mama, who shuts down the entire building. Like it's straight up just like steel fucking walls and steel roof. And you're just stuck. I got immediately claustrophobic.
Well, you guys, so you Dredd people and Judge Dredd people don't understand that the rest of the world doesn't know what this Dredd civilization is about. So, like, people, this is a dystopian future with all these, like, the cops are judges.
Yeah.
And so this judge, his name is Dredd. This is stuff I had to figure out during this movie because people don't know this. And I think the people listening to us probably do, so I'm sorry.
That's fine. So it's good to explain.
These are the, police of the judge world, and so the 2 cops, they normally don't go into this project building, and so that's why Mama was able to get away with all this crime and
class
basically,
warfare.
She kicked out even the gangs that were already there and took over.
Right. She's vicious as fuck in this movie.
So that's my huge question, like watching it, is like, how did it get this bad if there's these judges? And what the judges do is they like arrest you, but while they're arresting you, they like judge you and give you a sentence like right then and there.
Well, and there's something like 8 million people in Mega City 1, so like he says to the rookie at the beginning that they can only address maybe 6% of the crimes that are called in. I think you said something like 17,000 crimes are committed a day or reported a day.
And she
it is similar to these large cities. Like, look at Detroit. Look what's happening there. That city has been like complete. I mean, I think it's starting to come back, but that city was completely decimated by poverty and class warfare and shit like that. Like these things can happen. I hope we never get to a Mega City 1 point, but it's not out of the realm of possibility at all, in my opinion.
Okay, so she's with him because
this is the Alex Jones corner signing out. Fuck that guy, by the way.
No, we're talking about a movie and you're going all political.
No, I'm not.
I'm just trying to explain how the rookie gal was with him because they're deciding like this is her test to see if she could be a judge or not, and he asked her why she wanted to be a judge, and she said because she grew up in like a situation like this, like a poverty, like hard like the streets.
So she wants to make an actual difference for this city, which is something as a youth she didn't get, and because of that soft side is kind of why she struggles for the first 3/4 of the film.
Well, also it's because she's psychic, so she can see that these people are all people and they have other sides and other thoughts and stuff like that too. She's like seeing their families and their lives, so she's like has to kill them.
And so these people oftentimes are put in a place that they have to do this by Mama. Like she
runs the joint.
Yeah. So you got to kind of do what she says, otherwise she's gonna come after your family.
She plays a good bad guy. And Game of Thrones, you let us down.
She didn't get killed by a pile of rocks this fucking time. Like Judge Dredd, better than Game of Thrones. I'm just gonna say it right now, especially with the ending. Fuck you.
Season 8.
God. I don't even want to talk about it. We'll talk about my visceral hatred for things in a little minute.
Okay, anyway, so we keep calling her the rookie. What is her name?
Cassandra. I don't remember ever hearing that.
No. Anyway, so she's able, that first guy that you said they caught, she sees into his mind and she realizes the problem with this whole, like, building is they're a manufacturing plant for slow-mo. And so they're basically distributing it to other buildings and stuff, and this is like the head. Like, you need to cut it down at its root, at its source.
Right,
Mama is bad.
Well, and then we also find out that they also have some judges on the payroll. Yes. This is the important part for kind of the end scene where...
Well, okay, Mama gets out her... what are they called? Guns? Gatling guns?
Yeah.
There we go. And blows like the whole, like, they're on floor 57 or something, right in the middle of the fucking building, and just blows half of it out.
Yeah.
Trying to kill them.
Awesome.
So she doesn't give a shit about the people, but she puts a hole in the building so they're able to call for backup, and the backup comes and they work for them. They're dirty cops.
Sus as fuck.
They're dirty dreads. No, dirty judges.
Yeah. And Dredd finally,
He's fucking badass through it.
And this is also where Cassandra becomes a badass too, and stops. It seems like I don't want to say her morals go away, but it seems like she stops seeing this as something where she needs to think through everything, and she just needs to get her and her partner out of there safely, and she just starts killing motherfuckers. Like she's a fucking badass. This movie, Dredd and Cassandra are both just Anderson. That's why we didn't hear Cassandra, because they go by the last name.
Yes, that makes
Cassandra
sense.
Anderson. Anyways, they're both just badass motherfuckers this whole movie.
The guns, the comic book at least, the gun shoots 6 different kinds of bullets and ammunition, and we kind of see that in the show. And so this was cool because the comic book movies that I've seen are like Marvel and shit, and it's like most of them you couldn't tell it's a comic book movie, I guess, because it's just like an action movie. Like, these are the movies that we're used to nowadays. This, you can look at it and see like the comic book, because they'll slow down like the rifle fire and you get to see the flash, and you can like
Yeah, it's
cool.
It's really good.
The bullets going through people's cheeks, and you see like their cheeks rip apart and
this
shit.
movie is gory
It's
as
cool.
fuck. They do not hold back at fucking all. All right, so
what happened at the end of this movie?
He kills Mama.
And gets out, and and they
he gives her the slow-mo. He gives her the same treatment she gave the people at the beginning of the movie.
That is fucked up.
Yeah,
we didn't talk about
your whole
that.
fall from like 300 stories up is fucking in slow motion, and that has to be terrifying
and
as shit.
Apparently it's a Justin Bieber song playing, so it's even worse than we thought.
Yeah, that seems like cruel and unusual punishment.
And at the very end, the big boss lady asked Judge Dredd if Anderson made it to be a judge, and he said yes. But at the end of the movie, she kind of like leaves. She's like,
she thinks she failed because she did so many things that were against their rule book. And Dredd seems like such a stickler for the rules, but really what he is looking for is someone that's going to make the tough call when they don't want to. Yeah. So
judgment is coming.
IMDb says this movie got a 7.1.
That was great for many different reasons. One, it's the quote on the movie poster. Two, winter is coming is a Game of Thrones quote. And three, Cersei Lannister.
Critics gave it a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the audience gave it a 72%. I'm going higher than all of it. I'm going 85%.
I think I like this better than Upgrade, and I give it a better score. So
you got to give it a score then.
Well, Upgrade got like an 88 by critics, I think, so 89.
Well, and this is something that if we didn't have little ones, I'd probably throw on just as something as background noise because it's fun from start to finish. It's violent as shit. That's why I wouldn't throw it on with the kids around.
No,
but it's entertaining. The script is good. You don't necessarily have to pay attention to it once you've seen it once.
You didn't like the slow-mo scenes.
The slow-mo scenes got drug out.
It seems like they could have done one.
And then
we would have got the point.
I would say do the one with the guys they throw off at the beginning, and then do the one with Cersei at the end. Or Mama.
I think you had to see her in the bathtub too because you had to see like the appeal. Because we're like, why would people fucking do this? Like, we want life to end, or at least
Jesus.
like we want
2 movies, 2 suicide references. The long story short of this movie is don't kill yourself.
Slower.
Yeah.
Don't make 2020 slower.
Yeah, we're almost done.
But she's playing with the bubbles in the bath and she's naked and
Rob Armstrong 913-212-512 says, "Oh dear, how can such an awful movie come from such a great sauce material? It looks like the entire budget went on Carl Urban, a great choice for the role of Dredd, and sadly the last great choice the filmmakers made. It would seem we all drive VW transporters in the future. The lawmaker bikes were horrible. The script could have been written by a 15-year-old school child with English as second language. And as for the story, well, there simply wasn't one. Although the Slice Alone one wasn't perfect, it at least had a story and it looked good. I was so looking forward to this movie and was so disappointed. Shame. 1 out of 10.
Did he use shame on purpose?
I hope so.
That's funny.
That's why I picked the review.
That's better than my reference. Also, like, I think it's important to note that, like, Dredd didn't really have a character arc. But I think
he wasn't supposed to either, in my opinion.
No, because he's a judge, and I think that's like the point on them. Like they're there to judge. Like it was more of like the Anderson story arc mingled in with the whole slow mo thing. The whole like we're supposed to pay attention to the slow mo part and fighting crime and shit.
But you think it was more about Anderson?
I just think that was the deeper part in it. Like, and that person's wrong. There was things. That's all I'm saying. I'm arguing with that person.
Liam G. Davis says, amazing. I've never reviewed a film before, but it needs to be done for this one because it needs more popularity for a sequel. Real rating, 9 out of 10, but it needs more credit because it is really a top-of-the-line film and needs more popularity for a sequel, which would be amazing. My favorite hero was Batman, but now it is Dredd, and it reminds me of the video game of the Xbox a bit too, which was a great game. The film is full of action and an interesting story, which isn't anything really new, but it is most certainly not cliche or boring, and the actors did a great job. I only wish they created more. Watch it. 10 out of 10. Yeah, I actually do like his argument where this film does deserve a lot more hype than it has. I'm not necessarily one who loves sequels. Like, some films don't need them. Upgrade could definitely get a sequel. I don't want one. Dredd, I'd keep it going. You know, especially with it being comic book sourced, and it doesn't feel like a comic book movie just because it's not this stupid superhero bullshit.
Once again, said it did.
I'm a Marvel fan.
That was an opposing argument to what I said earlier.
Well, okay, so it doesn't feel like a comic book movie in the sense that it's not what we're getting right now. It's Marvel.
Where we get comic book movies, we get comic book superhero movies, and so that's.
And I'm tired of it.
And Dredd isn't a superhero.
It's a cop movie.
He's super. But
and
it's more
like a badass.
They said
cop
it's
movie.
a sci-fi, and Marvel isn't. I mean, Thanos is kind of sci-fi.
Marvel's sci-fi.
Superman is sci-fi.
Marvel's all sci-fi. It's all sci-fi,
that
honey.
Really?
Yeah, it's just sci-fi that we've had shoved down our throat for the last like 10 years.
I want some spaceships and shit. Some dystopian features.
Yes, that's why I'm excited for Dune. Dune. Well, all right. So does that wrap up our Dredd?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why I'm excited for Dune. I think Dune's gonna be amazing. It's being directed by Denis Villeneuve, who's done a bunch of films that have been amazing. Blade Runner 2049 was gorgeous. I think he did Prisoners. He did Incendies, which was his foreign film debut. Not debut. I think he is a foreign director. I haven't done enough. And Dune's gonna be amazing, and it's gonna be a great sci-fi film. So I'm super excited for that. So let's talk about what we've watched this week, because I need to talk about my visceral hatred for The Dead Don't Die. Did you watch anything you want to talk about first, though?
No.
Okay, so this week I watched The Dead Don't Die on HBO Max. This is a zombie film with Bill Murray and Adam Driver and Iggy Pop and Rosie Perez. The star list is like impressive. And I like zombie movies, and I love Bill Murray, and Adam Driver's fucking amazing. There's so much potential in this goddamn film, and they fucking did nothing with it. Like, every single chance they had to do something good, they fucking went the other goddamn direction. No, I got done with this movie because one of my bosses at work told me I should watch it. Just so I could, his quote, feel the way I felt. And I got done with it, and I understood what he meant, because there is so much potential in this fucking film, and this douchebag director didn't do shit with it. Squandered!
I didn't watch it.
No, but, you didn't. You didn't miss out.
No, thank you. I don't want to tolerate that.
There's so many lines in this film that are good, and then the douchebag Jim Jarmusch, aka Jim Jarmusch, fucking just pounds you over the head. God, I hated this movie.
Okay, so you've been talking about this movie for like 4 days, and you've been quoting it. Is that a good movie to an extent?
What have I quoted?
The fucking line that you say, like...
Things aren't going to end well?
Yeah.
Well,
Is that the only one?
It's because all the actors are good in the movie. All of them do a good job with the role that they were given. The fucking script sucks ballsack. Not even like freshly clean ballsack, like sweaty, musty, week-old ballsack.
Do you think they're doing it on purpose? Cause
if they were, then they're fucking dumb. It didn't work.
Like all the jokes they re-explained, like mansplained.
Yeah, it's like some of the humor felt like he was trying to go for Coen brother humor, which you already don't like, but it's done poorly. Like, it's done badly. All the jokes are okay. If they had been written better, that movie would have been fine. Because once it gets into the killings, it's pretty entertaining. The way they handle the murdering the zombies. Is it murder if they're already dead? I don't think so. I think that's... And it's not even... And see, what's so frustrating is I would still say check it out. If you have HBO Max, give it a watch. Because all of the actors in the movie are good. The movie itself sucks. It's like, well, it's season 8 of Game of Thrones. It's, all the actors are good. The action is good. The script itself is bad. And that's why it's frustrating. I think I'm frustrated with The Dead Don't Die for the same reason I'm frustrated with season 8 of Game of Thrones, where it's just so much wasted.
Wasted potential is very frustrating.
Only Game of Thrones was a decade.
That hurts. We haven't watched it since.
I don't want to watch it again. I don't.
We've talked about only watching 1 through 7, but
Ed Sheeran's in 7, and that should have been her first sign. That little fucking leprechaun was the harbinger of doom.
That isn't even like a problem in my head anymore after what happened.
Yeah.
Like, give Cersei the throne.
I wanted Cersei to get the throne. Yeah.
I didn't, but compared to what happened, like, fuck. Give it to her.
Giving Cersei the throne would have been the final fuck you from George R.R. Martin.
Mama
I mean,
needs
he
the
gave us
throne.
the Red Wedding, and then after that, it was just fucking bullshit.
Well, he just hasn't finished the book.
D&D can suck a dick. Unless they like sucking dick, then they can suck whatever they don't like sucking.
Okay.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
I think that covers it. That's the episode, guys.
Yeah. That was upgrading Judge Dredd.
Just Dredd.
Dredd.
Judge Dredd
no
is
Sylvester Stallone.
Which is
in
really
this.
good, too. Go check that out. We were going to watch that, too, but it was like $20 still, so we didn't buy it. Sorry. Shout out to our listeners, Fred, Josh, Thomas, DC. And there's one more. There's one more of you guys. Hopefully there's more than that. But, like, there's at least one more. And if you want to make yourself known.
According to the stats. Besides ourselves.
It's fine. People love us.
It's okay.
The people that know us love us.
I don't know.
I think so.
I think so, too.
All right. Love you guys. Bye. Go Hawks.